You have two very important days in your life. I mean, extremely important. The first one is when you're born, and the second one is when you figure out why you were born. I have praying parents, praying family, and they've always kind of prayed over me because I was kind of bold and foolish my entire life. And I was blessed at an early age to figure out what my life was supposed to be and what it was about. I'm going to take you through a little quick journey because I only got 12 minutes, might be 12 and a half. Exhibit 1, high school, 10th grade, public school. No, private school, excuse me, Penn Charter, second oldest school in the country in Philadelphia. William Penn founded it. Very prestigious place. But the problem was I didn't act prestigious. I was kind of cutting a fool while I was there. I didn't do my homework. I was kind of acting crazy in situations where I shouldn't have been. And eventually they got tired of my behind. And they decided to kick me out of school. So to you parents out there, I'm telling you, if you got any kids, you having some problems, there's hope. There is hope. I turned out pretty decent. So kicked me out. So my parents found out that day before I found out. I was at football practice. So I come home, and I come through the door, and I get greeted with a punch to my chest from my father. Now, mind you, I got a pretty decent chest now, you know. But back then, I had a real skinny bird chest. And my father hit me, and I flew across the room. My back hit the wall, and I slid down. And he stood over top of me, and he said, "You've been very foolish. Your mother and I bust our behinds every day to make sure you have a good education, and you're acting a fool in school." He not only knocked some sense into me physically, but mentally something went off there, and I was like, you know what? He's right. I'm wasting my freaking life acting crazy. So I ended up going to a public school from there called Northeast High School. While at Northeast, my 11th and 12th grade year, I was allowed to go to this conference that literally changed my life. And a woman was there. Her name was Pat Shelton, and she worked at Power 99, which is the biggest radio station in Philadelphia. And I was sitting next to my boys, and I was like, yo, after she finishes, I'm going to go talk to her and introduce myself to her. And they're like, she's not going to want to talk to you. So I was like, watch. So after she finished, she walked off stage. She was mobbed by a bunch of people. I laid in the cut, waited for her to get finished. Then I followed her out to her car. And I said, listen, Miss Pat Shelton, I'd love to come intern for you. And she's like, if you were bold enough, come follow me to my car. Call me on Monday morning. We'll see about it. Called her on Monday morning. I ended up interning there for 2 years, right before I went to college. Exhibit B, college. I decided to go to, which I like to say, the greatest university in the entire world, Howard University in Washington, D.C. Yeah. And I decided to major in communications. So there were two knocks right there. People were like, Troy, you already like to party, and you like girls. I did like girls. I'm married now. Howard's not the place for you to go to because you're going to get sidetracked and you're going to probably fail out. So my thing was, no, I'm going to go. Yes, I'm going to party. Yes, I'm still going to like the girls, but I'll do it in balance. So I ended up doing that in balance at Howard University. While there, I met this woman named Chrissy Murray while I was interning at their radio station. And Chrissy worked at CBS Records at the time. She was their college rep. So Chrissy said, when I graduate, I'd like for you to take the position if you want it. And I was like, you're damn right I want this position. So she called me one day. She's like, Troy, I'm graduating. Would you like to come work for CBS Records? I was like, yes. So she's like, I'll hook you up with my boss, and you make the call. So I make the call. Now, I'm dressed, this is how I dress. I'm kind of out there. But back then, I was very preppy. I I had a white shirt on with a red tie, a blue blazer with gold buttons and khakis. I don't even own one pair of khakis now. And a pair of khakis and penny loafers, and I had a nice Philly fade and glasses. And I'm sitting in the office, and her boss walks in. Shout out to Jim Chiato and Jim Caparo and Larry Davis, who believed in me. Now, he's an Italian dude, big Italian hair, hairy chest, shirt zipped down, and he had a velour sweatsuit on with a full-length mink coat and a gold medallion and chain on, and he walks in the office, the shortest interview you've ever seen in your life. He walks in, he's like, "Think you can do this?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I definitely can." In my best King's English, very preppy and trying to be all college-like. And he's like, "You got the job." And he walks out, and I was like, wow, is this what the music industry is about? So that actually ended up working out extremely well. Ended up working in the music industry for a little over 20 years and worked with artists like Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Sade, Diddy, Jay-Z, and a bunch of others. So I moved to New York, and I'm living Midtown Manhattan in a great apartment building. And a friend of mine, Lynn Burnett, who runs Vibe magazine, called me and he said, "Troy, you need to get out of that apartment and you need to come up to Harlem and buy some real estate and buy a house." And I was like, "Dude, you're crazy. Like, I don't have to do anything here. I don't have to fix anything. I don't have to do anything. My apartment's fly. The ladies like it. Why move?" And he's like, "You're making someone else rich." I'll never forget those words. "You're making someone else rich." He said, "Give me 3 hours in Harlem this week." This is in 1995, before Harlem was hot. It only took me an hour. I met him in Harlem. We sat at a restaurant. We walked around, saw a couple houses, and I felt the energy of Harlem. I was like, "Oh, I gotta live here. This place is beautiful." Now, this is before Starbucks, before all the sexy chains came to Harlem. Right now, Harlem is the #1 place on the East Coast. At the time, the only time you ever heard of Harlem was something negative. It was a very bold and foolish move to some. I tried to get many of my friends to buy houses there. To the guys that are going to watch this, I told you behind to get that house in 1995, and your behind didn't do it. To my 10 friends that did buy houses, you owe me lots of money. While in Harlem, I decided to leave the music industry. My father and my mom, they were like, "Yeah, why would you do that?" They were from the old school. You die at your company, and then they give you a watch or something, after you, stayed there for like 50 years. And my energy ain't like that. Like, I got to move. So I decided to start my own company, a marketing company called White House Marketing. And I ended up doing extremely well at it. It was a very bold, very foolish move to some. But to me, I was like, hey, I'm making my own decisions. I got to live and die by my decisions. Sometimes foolish. Many times I've failed. Many times. But the wins are nice. This is the best one because it brings me here. My wife had this opportunity to, she was partner of Ogilvy and Mather in New York. And they asked her, "Hey, would you like to come to Africa and be CEO of Ogilvy and Mather Africa?" So we're very adventurous people. We're both like, "Oh, that would be so hot. Somebody's going to pay for us to move to Africa and we don't have to pay for it. And they're going to fund everything. Like, why not?" Many of our family and friends were like, "What's wrong with America? You're living well. Things are good. You love America. This is what you know. Why would you go somewhere else? And then you going to Africa?" Many said it was very bold. More said it was foolish. But I have to tell you guys are true Kenyans. You've made this place what it is. I freaking love this place. I love the energy. I love the people. I love the food. I love the promise. The #1 thing I love about this place is the promise of the country. Like, I feel it. Like, I felt Harlem and how I knew Harlem was going to be hot. I know the world's going to be talking about Nairobi, and I want to play a part in that. So thank you for having me. Thank you for having my family here. And I dig Engage. You guys rock. And thank you guys. Have a blessed evening.